Oh man, you went deep on me, man. I appreciate you sharing that. That's history.
Yeah, yeah,
Now
yeah.
how did you actually get up in the industry? Like, were you interning, or did you just jump off the porch with your own company and
So
try it? Or
yeah, fast forward, you're 10 years into doing what you love. Like you go into the business, you must keep in mind there is no urban fashion. Okay, there's no people like me on Seventh Avenue working. You're working for other people. There's nothing like what we see today happening in the industry on Seventh Avenue in New York. It was fashion, either high or low, no streetwear. So I was happy, I made a decision that I would be happy graduating from FIT and working 9 to 5 in the fashion industry. I really and truly enjoy working in the space of fashion, no matter what the task is, right? It just so happens that around the time I get out, this music is peaking, and now those other pillars are catching up. By that I mean you hear DJs on the radio. They're becoming these DJs that you hear on the street now becoming actual DJs on the radio. You see people on TV, and then you see fashion. And um, I'm already 10 years into it, so this puts me, 88 to 97, 96. I am working for someone, enjoying myself, learning the trade. But then the first opportunity came when someone wanted me to help them with a project, and that person had 7 stores in Chicago.
uh,
Um, it was a friend of my boss's, and um, he he had hip hop brands in his stores. Now I would go into stores in New York and see the brands trending up, like, but you still would see Guess, Jabot. You would not see anyone like us. You would see the brands, but it wouldn't be nothing that is using the code words like a Fat Farm or Fubu or Cross Color. They're not using those monikers that speak to us. Guess, Gap, those stores were there, and you would go shop there. So he has 7 stores, and he had brands like Carl Kanai. Fubu was good for him. Tommy Hilfiger was good. So he had, the area. So he had licensed the Pele Pele brand, and he got it for underwear. And around the time you had, Marky Mark, you had this big underwear movement. And he asked me to do some underwear for him. Just a friend of my boss, but I liked him so much because it was a break from working. It was a project that I loved to do. I whipped it up. He made about 2 million on what I did. He generated 2 million in sales off of what I did. So much so he was like, I didn't understand what licensing was, but he was saying I don't need to license. I got to pay this guy money and for the rights to use his name when you just helped me create $2 million of business. Do a brand you want to do, call it whatever you want. So
wow.
it happened like overnight.
Mm.
But these stores in Chicago is a lot pretty well known. You had young kids, like, at the time I would say probably they were like 15, 16. I'm already 20 something. You got Kanye going in there, you got Virgil, you got, all these guys visiting this. He was the go-to store. Um, Don C, all these guys were going in there. So they would see my name, they would see his name and, the brands that were in there. So he was going to carry my brand in his stores. And I understood it. At the same time, I am also working at night or, days off with Daniel Hastings, who's a photographer. And Daniel shot some pretty famous imagery, one being Wu-Tang album cover, Raekwon Only Built for Cuban Links album cover, Raekwon
Mm.
Ghostface, Gangstar.
Wow.
So he was, again, every pillar of business was being um, young youth was being tapped to do some things that haven't been done before. Where they would not hire a really expensive photographer. They'll get this guy named Danny Hastings, and now he's an OG. But he was shooting all the greats, Fat Joe, So he would ask me to come. Hey, why don't you style for me? I didn't know what that was, but I did it. And I would pull clothes from showrooms and give it to him. And combination of the two got me prepared for the opportunity to do my own brand. So in 1996, 97, I created Willie Esco with no strings attached, just create a name. And I had to tell a story behind it, obviously. His background name is Escobar. I shortened it to Esco because Nas was using the word a lot. And the ideal scenario would be to get Nas on board with me, right? So more than likely, I would run across Nas because Danny was shooting everybody. Danny was shooting everyone. Cypress Hill, he was shooting everybody at the time. So I was like, let me call it this, and then I'll hope to meet Nas and say, here's a T-shirt or whatever. And I knew that would do two things. It would ensure success because marketing-wise, you're using a name that's in the psyche of the kid that's listening to the music. So Esco, Escobar, one thing. Pablo, gangster, another thing. So you're tapping into brand equity that's built into the music. And I wanted to ensure success for my partners who were investing a little bit of money. But, for me, it was a lot. So that's happened 96, 97. So, yeah, I did my 7-8 years of needed work. But the opportunity happened overnight, and I jumped on it.